here. Okay. All right. Thanks, Michael. All righty, let me get the PowerPoint. Hey there, Piper. And the slideshow from the beginning. And I need to share my screen. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. All righty. So I have the recording started. We're going to go ahead and get started. And when Dr. Salinas, if somebody can let me know when Dr. Salinas joins us, because it minimizes when I have the presentation going, it minimizes the windows for me to actually see everyone. So thank you everyone for joining us with our 2026 work group, performance measures work group. Yay, thank you all for joining us. We'd like to welcome you and just so glad to have you all here and your presence here. We ask that as far as your work group instructions, we ask that you get engaged, become involved, use your camera. Of course, there are no wrong questions or approaches. The work group is formed to discuss and generate the specific performance measures we will use for our EMA and HSDA CQM qualitative care markers and our quantitative and our qualitative care experience evaluations. So we will do our best to allow for offline input and contribution as well. We will be sharing this recording. So if those of you who have staff that were unable to participate, we will provide the recording and so a summary of the notes as well. So just would like for you to participate as much as possible. So as I mentioned in the chat, we have a full agenda. We're going to cover, do a little mini training for those who have not participated in our process background before, the process and the background before. Then we'll go right into referral for healthcare, non-medical case management, medical case management, outpatient ambulatory health services, AIDS pharmaceutical assistance, oral health, and outreach services. And as I mentioned, we're going to go through these. What we would like for you to do is go ahead and take some notes. If you have some questions, say for instance, there's some data that you see here and you would like to delve a little bit more into detail offline, please take some notes and send them over to us. We don't mind sharing that data with you. Okay. All righty. So I believe as far as the team coming together, Michael will kick us off here. Thank you so much, Michael.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Regina. And for many of you, this is not your first time at the rodeo. For those of you who are new, this is just kind of showing you we are here. So you'll be seeing the data that has been compiled by Thomas and Dee and others in the administrative agency. That was done in December. We also had identified at that time immediately based on the PCN 1502 formula that we're going to show you in just a moment as a refresher, which service categories require measures pursuant to PCN 1502 and how many measures. We're currently meeting today with all of you to talk about what it means. And we're going to be discussing, of course, results that came from our consumer focus groups on the qualitative measures that were conducted last month. And then what you can look forward to following this call will be the adaptation of Qualtrics and our forms for performance measurement reporting. Those will be circulated to you by mid-February so that we can get your input and they can be considered official and ready to launch with the new fiscal year on March 1st. So we are here at Box 3 for January 2026. Next slide.
Michael?
Oh, hi, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi, Dr.
First of all, thank you everyone for making this Friday afternoon a meeting, those 2 hours meeting. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that. The presence of Ms. Helen, the presence of our consumers. They're the voice of our consumers. I will encourage you, please give us the feedback, because remember, this qualitative will be the tool and the question that you suggest for the clients that you provide services for. And going quantitative, if needed, I mean, we're trying to evaluate, kind of measure to and compare the E2 and your data. So to see if that is actually can be validated and say like it's accurate. So thank you so much. Please do not doubt a question, observation is very welcome. Even rough feedback, good feedback. We want to be transparent with that and bring you over. Please give us that feedback that we need. Don't feel this is a flying safe zone. Thank you.
So the policy clarification notice 1502 is the Bible when it comes to clinical quality management in the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program. It was first issued in 2015 and it's been updated several times, most recently in January of 2025 with the advent of the Trump administration. The mathematical formula that we use is baked into the policy clarification notice and it has not changed. If we have more than 50% of our Ryan White clients accessing any unit of service in the course of a year, then we require two measures. If between 15 and 50% of all of our Ryan White clients access at least one service in the course of the year for a service category, those service categories will require one measure. And any service categories that have less than 15% utilization or participation by our consumer base require no measures. So that's a mathematical formula that is the basis of our identification of how many measures for which service categories were required from the perspective of our federal partners. Let's go to the next slide. Now, I believe someone else is going to take this one.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So this slide here shows how people use Ryan White funded services over the past fiscal year, well, full fiscal year. So this is looking at March 1st of 2024 up to February 28th of 2025. Going down, we can see highlighted in green, 63% for outpatient ambulatory health services. That green representing that two measures would be required, just based on the previous slide that Michael mentioned. And then we have there highlighted in the pinkish yellow colors, all of the ones in which one service category would be needed. One measure for that service category would be needed. And then some notable ones that are close would be the food bank home delivered meals, and then we've seen a drop off with the medical transportation services as well, around 12%. Also, this is just overall clients being around our 10,844, so close to that 11,000 clients served. Here we are looking at our priority groups. So for the last few years, our priority groups have been trans/gender nonconforming, as well as women and youth aged 18 to 24. So here we see the total amounts in the blue sections. Again, just looking at our APA and outpatient ambulatory health services data. So in that blue section, we see our total number of those Ryan White clients in those sections. Going down to the orange section, we're looking at the clients that received one Ryan White care service, and then the number from those clients that were retained in care in green. And then below that, we have our viral load suppression. All of that calculated from the total amount of clients being in the blue section. And then at the bottom, we have our linkage to care data. Again, all of this is reported from E2 Dallas. So this is based off of what all of the agencies have inputted over that span of time being March 1st, 2024 to February 28th, 2025.
And Michael is back on you. If you're
All
there.
right, so this is looking at our history. How many measures have we had for which service categories over time, so that we can just have a good sense of how this has progressed over time. You may recall that prior to 2021, we did not utilize the PCN 1502 methodology, and instead we had measures for all services. And I think that there had been traditionally 2 measures for the outpatient ambulatory health service. In 2021, we decided that we should follow the policy and reduce the level of burden on you all. And so this is our history. You can see that in 2026, we are italicized and we have question marks. We didn't want you to think that we have predetermined this work for you. Usually, y'all are interested in continuity, which is why we went ahead and put that there, but the question mark is up for you to discuss and to deliberate today. And it is a vital role that you play in providing the input and feedback to the recipient at Dallas County Health and Human Services. As indicated a couple of times now, we'll continue to have 2 measures for outpatient ambulatory health service based on the utilization level in 2025, in 2024. And then we actually have cycled off the medical transportation. This is the first year that medical transportation has decidedly been lower than 15%, as we just saw. Therefore, we don't want to continue collecting measures that aren't required. Again, our goal is to follow policy and to reduce burdens. So we're not going to be discussing medical transportation today because it's no longer going to be a measure as of March. Keep in mind that just because it's not going to be a measure in March doesn't take away its required status today. So you need to continue collecting the medical transportation survey data all the way through February 28th. And that's going to be very important for compliance with your contractual expectations. Dr. Salinas, jump right in.
Yeah, and I don't want to discourage those who wants to voluntarily track that information just to determine reason why it went down. But the fact is that you won't be monitored on those performance measurements because it's no longer required, as Michael mentioned, for PCN 1502. But I really encourage you to track if you want, just to have really the history of that for your records.
So I think what you're saying is that we will continue to have that survey open. We won't make any changes to that survey. We would encourage you to discuss with your agency if it makes sense for you to continue to collect that information. And yeah, is that accurate, Dr. Salinas? I want to make sure that I understand what you're trying, what you're communicating.
If someone requires, yes, we can leave that open. But if there is no takers, that's fine. We close it. So we don't want to increase the burden of promote a survey, inquire that one. But it's good to have it. Again, if there is no takers by the end of the cycle, we will close it.
Thank you. That is very handy. So what we can expect as an action item request from all of you when we submit, when we circulate the notes and the slides and the actions, we'll be asking you to confirm if you are a medical transportation site, if you do plan to continue collecting this information, or if you wish to let that sunset. If all of you wish to let it sunset, then we'll disable the survey for ease of use. Thank you, Dr. Salinas, for that clarification.
Okay.
Next slide.
All righty.
All right.
So, yeah, we're jumping right on in there. Okay.
All right. So This service category, referral for healthcare and supportive services, is one that we have been working toward for a while. It is one that we have been calculating on the back end, but it's really important. You'll see in a moment that the calculation has limitations, and we've discussed that with you over the course of the year. For now, what's important for you to know about this service, if you weren't aware already, a referral worker directs a client to a service in person or through the telephone, written, or other types of communication. A completed ADAP application can also be considered a referral for healthcare and supportive service. So even though we're talking about a THMP function, that still is very much a vital part of the services that we provide and the support that we have for clients in our Dallas region. So it can be about social determinant of health or physical health referral. It can also be specifically for the THMP ADAP function. Activities can include ensuring clients access their public and private programs for which they are eligible. So this really is thinking about Norma, let's discuss that offline, because we actually had a debate about that. We thought that Callie had given that up. So based on the documentation that we received from fiscal. So thank you for noting that, and we'll discuss that with you offline. Thank you. So what that means is the whole purpose is a referral that's timely, meaningful, necessary, and appropriate, and desirable for the client. Let's go to the next. I cannot include case management services, which is a slightly higher level of care, which is to be billed separately. I do want to point out one thing. It appears that some of you have been taking one encounter and billing it for the one encounter for referral for healthcare and supportive services and case management. That is a no-no. We call that fraud. It is. You need to have you need to have separate encounters for every unit of service that you are billing. That's something that you'll be hearing about more from the monitors over the course of the year. And I just wanted to emphasize that now, that this isn't just a freebie gimme. You actually have to have information about like what's happening. And it's okay. So, it can't be the same as case management. So when we look at what, thank you, Regina. Let's go to the next slide. Sorry for my waffling. When we look at this measure, we have 2,921 people who received a referral management service, referral for healthcare and supportive service throughout the course of the year. Because of the way that the E2 system works, we don't have a lot of detail on the back end. You have the detail on your side about what the referral is, and the extent to which there is follow-up and follow-through and confirmation that the client liked the referral, was meaningful and impactful for the client went there. All of those things are managed by you, and we don't see that. We don't have access to that. It's just a referral was given. Of the 2,921 people, 2,412 of them, so 82.57%, received an outpatient ambulatory health service, which is what we mean when we say Ryan White Care Service. So the overwhelming majority of them are enrolled in our healthcare that are provided through the Ryan White program. Of those, only 1,359 are retained in care using our 2-visit definition, and the viral load suppression is slightly better at 1,867. Over the course of the year, we had 92 newly diagnosed persons who received a referral for healthcare and supportive service. And of those 92 persons that were new, 50 of them, so 54%, were linked to care within 30 days. So that's using the DISH's definition for linked to care. I want to point out a couple of things. We're going to be making a lot of changes to the way that we talk and think about this. You'll be experiencing that and part of those conversations as we work our way into the summer as a part of the Rapid Learning Collaborative as it ramps up and takes effect in 2027 for you all. But for now, this is where we're at. Dr. Salinas, I saw you came off mute, and I wonder if you have any other context to provide.
Yeah, just for clarification. The system, E2, it does have a module for referral for healthcare, which has the spaces to fill when it was made, where, reason, those kind of details. But since the beginning, we said that as far as referral for healthcare, we're going to collect viral load just to simplify and satisfy the need to report a measure from HRSA. But over this year, we will work it out with more technical assistance and more clarity about the definition of referral for healthcare. That is not just for eligibility; it's bigger than that. And interesting enough, medical case management has decreased the utilization. Our client has decreased the utilization, and referral for healthcare is raising up. Medical case management is 15% of our population has services for medical case management. On the opposite, on referral for healthcare, 26. That is a big jump from 17 to 26 in from one year to another. And in cutting off services such as non-medical, some of the agencies have just stopped and moving out non-medical case management and decrease the utilization of medical, but increase the referral, and it's less paperwork, is more comfortable and quicker. Yes, but we are forgetting that this is client-centered service. So I just want to highlight that point. And medical case management for someone who is newly diagnosed or for someone who is struggling with somehow or another is very important to promote. And these services, these people who provide the non-medical, they know the client way much better than the medical provider. So it's important to have them connected with the medical case management if needed, and teaching and graduate them with enough tools to self-sustain the management of the HIV care. I want to highlight that point because it's seen obviously that the decreasing of the medical case management utilization is it is unknown. Why is that? It's important. It's within the 10 core services. So just FYI.
Thank you so much. And because this is the work group, we want to just open the floor for a couple minutes for conversation, reactions, or any objections. Right now, the county's plan is to leave it as it is and let the year ride out and continue to see. But this is your work group, and we want to know what reactions you have. So for providers first, what reactions do you have to leaving this alone and letting it ride? Or any other reactions you'd like to make about the service and its provision?
This is Piper. Can you go back to the slide of the referral for healthcare qualifiers?
Yeah. Take
I
a
mean, so
peek and let us know.
obviously we've all been in the groups where we've discussed and we've all been monitored and had the discussion with project monitors about, when something is this versus case management, how each agency differs and how they utilize referral for healthcare services, because it's pretty expansive of what it provides, right? And so where one agency may focus on it and bill for the clients that they support getting their ADAP application, I can speak for Parkland, we do not, right? Because we have a team that's internal, but we don't use any of that. So ours is really focused on when the case managers see a patient, is it less than 3, or, there's like a quantifiable way that the case managers can be clear of how they're supporting the patient's needs. I would say, of course, like, let's let it ride while we continue to really flesh out how do we talk about referral for healthcare services, and how does each agency really use it and leverage it. I think that more conversation would be helpful for that, for sure.
I really appreciate that. I see Dr. Salinas nodding. Other thoughts from other subrecipient agencies? We definitely are going to get lots of conversation opportunities. Go ahead, Joni. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry for being off camera today. Just a comment really for AHFAIN. at AIN, we primarily use the referral for healthcare for eligibility determinations for birth month recertifications and self-attestations. So the lower part would be the actual referrals to other agencies for supportive services, but a good bulk, probably 80% or more, is for the recertification process. Just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I did recall that. I see Norma's comment as well, that at Cali up north, they do it mostly for ADAP. Before we flip to the next topic, I'm getting the spidey sense that we want to let it ride. We want to have the opportunities for conversation. The county is promising that there will be those opportunities. In fact, there will be meetings later on. I just want to, because we have our dear consumer, hello, my community, Helen, Lionel, or any others on the line, if you want to express any reactions or thoughts, preferences related to referral for healthcare and supportive services, now would be that time.
Hi, good afternoon, Ms. Helen. I think it is okay so far. I haven't heard any people complaining too much about the system or what it's like up to date. But I'm just wondering on the viral load, because we know that they only do it sometimes once a year or twice a year. Is that going to be an issue if it is 12 months? That's all.
We associate things on the back end within, so it's a lot of the things that we collect are through Qualtrics or through submissions on an Excel document that the agencies provide to us. They run their data and they provide it to us. But the agencies rightly for many years have said, you pay for this E2 system and we enter our data there. Can't you make the darn thing work? So that's really what we're trying out here. So to your point, Helen, the way that this measure is calculated is based on people who have the referral checkbox marked within the period of time, and then it's looking for whatever viral load information documentation there is. Now, if a client is enrolled in social determinants and kind of more supportive services, and they're asking for referrals to other services, we likely will be missing some of that viral load information. This is the tale as old as time, and one of the biggest pathologies and challenges we have in the Ryan White system and the carved out space we've made for ourselves in not really wanting to engage super well with the rest of the American medical system. And granted that the rest of the American medical system is not very good at engaging with us or each other. So let's not get carried away and think that I'm blaming any of us or any of you. This, when we look at the data, so many people have had a care service. And so it'd be really interesting to note if some of these are just kind of in and then out. And so they never had a chance to have labs drawn. These would be additional questions that the AA would pursue based on the data it has available in E2 in all of its free time. But I think that this is something that we can look forward to in conversation that Piper and Joni and others have hinted at would be desirable, and that we could look at this, later in the year to think about how other works and teams like RAI or OE or others can get involved in the analytical playground. Any other comments? We're now 3 minutes behind. I just want to, go ahead, Lauren, please. Absolutely. Jump right in.
I want to just clarify real quick. So retaining care definition is 2 viral load tests within a 12-month period?
For
what was that?
For the calculation here, the retention and care is 2 visits within the 12-month period.
2 visits.
They
Okay.
don't necessarily need to have the viral load captured in order for it to count as retention. Is that correct, Dr. Salinas? It's a direct measure. It's not a proxy measure.
Correct. It has to be at least 3 months apart.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Would be one of them with the prescriber, the healthcare provider with prescribing privilege. That's what it said.
That's right. And I think, Lauren, the nuance that you're catching is the public health service standard, which says that one of those visits can be a viral load test as evidence of care. But we do need to have an anchor with one visit with the provider, the prescribing provider, and there needs to be that 90-day window.
Okay.
Great
That
question.
number's so low. And so I just want to, or it's not so low, but it's
No.
lower. And so I just want to, I'm thinking of ways that we can better capture data on our end. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. We're bound to be discussing this quite a bit, skis, as we move our way through. All right, I think that's it for me, and I'm going to chill in the background.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Thanks so much, everybody, for your input. We are recording the the um, the session so we can provide notes to you all. And if you want to go back and look and listen, you can do so. But now we're moving on to non-medical case management. And as you can see here, I'm not going to read through all the definitions here, but just wanted to highlight a few as far as completing intakes, developing and reviewing a care plan, implementing the care plan, referrals. I am so sorry. Implementing the care plan, providing information, referral linkages, advocating on behalf of the client, to remove those barriers to service, and then providing appropriate crisis intervention where it's needed. And our current non-medical case management have just these three questions. Well, first, let me lead off by saying this is the data that we capture from the Qualtrics surveys. These responses are from the responses dated from March 1st, 2025 to November 30th of 2025. So that's what the data you'll see today is from that time period. And each question that's in Qualtrics will first ask them, what agency did you receive your service at? Every qualitative question. And then it ends with, would you like for someone, do you have any additional information you would like to ask? And would you like for someone to respond to you or reach out to you? And they are allowed to leave, if they leave their name, they must either leave their phone number or their email address. Just wanted to preface that by saying this. But for the meat of the question is what I'm capturing here. So just wanted to put that out there. And if someone is putting something in the notes, please note that I am not ignoring you. I just can't see it right now. So question number 1 is, when you met with your case manager, what were the reasons you needed to meet? And that is an open text response. Did our staff help address your concerns? Yes or no? Some, but not all. And if some, but not all, or no is selected, they are asked to please explain further in an open text response. And then when our staff follows up with you, does that happen in a timely manner? Yes, no, some, but not all, are the options here. Now, so what the format from here on out with the qualitative surveys is, you're going to get the definition, the questions, the data, and then our available feedback. So let's move on here to the question number 1. When you met with your case manager, what were the reasons you needed to meet? And that was, let's see, for housing, for overall. And here we have the overall data, and then we have it broken down to our key populations for women, for our gender expansive persons, and our youth age 18 to 24. So overall, here this word cloud represents housing, referrals, and data were used most often in capturing the responses. Dental and food for women. And then for our gender expansive persons, referrals, updating paperwork usually, and counseling. And for our youth population is medication, um, let's see, of course, and medication again, and then talking with someone or speaking to someone about their medication. And as you see around some of them, there are other activities as far as dental, any other type of assistance, a clinic visit, those are there. Let's see. And then we go on here. Did our staff help address your concerns? We have majority of yes, 407 counted yes. We only had one for this question of as far as no. And then we had 14 some, but not all. If you're interested in some of those, I do some for sake of time. I did not put each and every in each slide set as far as if they said other or some but not all and what that specific item stated, but you can request that if needed. And then when our staff follows up with you, does that happen in a timely manner? And of course, here we are again with almost the same breakdown of 407 saying yes, and then a little bit of increase in the sometimes but not all. Okay. And our available feedback. So as you know, and as I mentioned in the invite, was that we held 3 consumer focus groups this in last year. So the feedback from that is some of our consumers are concerned about discrimination and how that impacts their comprehension of the data. And then they also mentioned um, that sometimes staff need to be trained and see more active participation, or even some of the consumers need to be trained and see more active participation in the surveys to show that there are different needs across the populations, even though sometimes you see that they align, sometimes that there are different needs. And then on our ECC, on our external committee side, we see where survey distribution has been a challenge. And this you will see is a consistent comment from those agencies that provide these surveys, is that sometimes it's been a challenge when staff changes, when the agency is relocating or they're having construction, or you'll see a decrease. What we ask is that you please let us know, because we will, in our quarterly 101s, we will ask about them. But we just need to know why, especially if there's a significant dip, staff changes, whatever, we like for that information to be shared. So now, as we just did with referral for healthcare, let's go back to the questions. We want to know what we would like to do with these questions. Here's the questions again. Do we need to keep them? Is there something we would like to change, add to, as Michael mentioned before, and as I mentioned, please forgive me if I'm not able to see the questions in the chat or hands raised. So if you can help me out here, that would be great.
Yes. I would like to answer you the question that Piper posted in there is billed, like Norma mentioned in the next one. That basically for referral, they are counted on bill because they don't see the type, and that's something that need to be addressed. We are not following the eligibility how allowable is the referral or what kind of referral it is at all. So we cannot. But it's based on bill. That's the only match that we have: units of service, bill, and the service provider. So we are tuning up on more detail of that. But thanks for the question, Piper.
Sure. And the question wasn't quite about that, but of course, as we work through over the upcoming months, we can get more specific about what my question was that impacted the continuum, was what that piece in the chat was. About non-medical case management, I would love a slight shift in the question where that question 3 is more about like, was the patient able to get their need resolved? Like I would like as opposed to timely follow-up, for us, it really is like, were they able to get what they came in for? Like if they got a referral to dental, were they able to get to dental? If they came in for housing, were they able to get housing? And even though the answer might be no sometimes, I feel like that may be some rewording of that third question might get more to the first question of what was the reason why you needed to come in and meet with the case manager? And then that 3 is more about, because our staff has asked, what are we doing as a EMA about these questions? Because they're really digging in. I'm really proud that our case management has dug in and provided, I would say, a lot of that 407 over the last year. And so that's point 1, sorry. And then point 2 would be the beyond these 3 questions, there's a follow-up like, hey, do you want to have someone follow up with you? And if the client says yes or no, they provide their information. And I have to just share experience from our staff and from the patient. When several instances, the patient has filled the survey out, they've wanted to get follow-up, but they really want to get follow-up from the county, because the way that that first page says, it's like, hey, thank you for taking this Ryan White survey, contact Regina, you know, like to where if the patient's having issues with either the agency or the or another agency within the, you know, they want Dallas County to do the follow-up, to have their experience shared. And I would just say that might be an opportunity to loop them into those focus groups that you have, or it might be an opportunity for the county to kind of tie the agencies back to each other, if that makes sense. Like, we all work together, but we're human and we're siloed. And so I think that I've found from experience, when they wanted to be contacted, it sometimes was either to talk to county or they just didn't understand the question. And I'll let the group jump in on that.
Right, right. And I guess when we created the survey, I think, would you like someone from our staff to contact you? I think that's this exact languaging at the end of the at the end of each survey. So I'm wondering if we misunderstood that, because we're thinking they want someone from that agency, our staff, meaning I was taking it at this agency. So that is something to look at. And go ahead, I don't know who's on first, or we can, let's see, I think we got a couple of hands. All right, Norma.
Hi.
Hi.
I like Piper's suggestion about tweaking that 3rd question. And if we could, maybe there could be an option on the question, would you like someone to contact you? Maybe some type of option for Dallas County to contact, or the organization, or both. Depending on what the client wants. But that would kind of solve the issue. Let the client steer the contact. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Joni.
Hi, kind of more of the same. I know I've mentioned this on multiple calls. When we do get the response that a client wants to be contacted, oftentimes when we do follow up, they didn't even realize that they were asking to be contacted. Now, that could be, as Piper mentioned, that they didn't understand the question, or that they're surprised it's the agency and they have a complaint and they thought it would be the county. So then they just panic and say, oh, I didn't know I meant to be contacted. I really don't have anything to say. And so I think it could be both of those circumstances. And so I really like Norma's suggestion that we ask, if you'd like to be contacted, would you like to be contacted by the agency or by the county? Because I think in many instances, if it's complaint driven, or someone just wants to hear maybe a negative experience, not necessarily a complaint or a room for improvement, they would likely want to speak to the county rather than us. Oftentimes when you call, you either get the, oh, I didn't know I was asking to be contacted, or, oh, everything's great, I just want to say thank you. But I think sometimes you're catching them off guard, and it really may be more than that, but they didn't really want to discuss it with us. We also have suggestion boxes in our lobby in our DARE Center where clients can anonymously leave suggestions. And so there are other avenues for them to sort of voice those concerns. But I do think that Piper did hit on something that we haven't discussed yet, in that they may be expecting someone other than the agency representative. So I do like that idea of giving a choice. It also might second that they're asking for feedback or asking for someone to call. So if they didn't mean that, when you go to, okay, you'd like to be contacted, would you like to be contacted by the agency or the county? It's that one additional step where if they didn't realize that's what they were asking for, then they could back out and, oh, I didn't mean that. And then you wouldn't be following up for nothing either, which, we're all very busy. And if someone doesn't want to be contacted, then we're not reaching out. So love those suggestions and the feedback. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. And Joni, did you still have your hand raised? Okay, got it. Okay, Dwight, and then Dr. Salinas. We got 2 minutes for this section. Not to rush anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Dwight at ASD. Based on my experience for this category, dental has always been one that was uncovered as a, why they go to see their case manager. Uh, with that knowledge, I would expect in successive surveys to do deeper dives on some of the bigger reasons that they're going and having other category to capture something else. So, I don't see the value of yearly after year they saying I went for dental. I told you that last year, the year before, and so forth. So my recommendation would be to do some deeper dives on those elements and reasons that they're going.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Yeah, that's a
Noted.
great point, Dwight. I jumped in, but that's a great point.
And it's noted that dental care is critical. It's critical. One agency is not taking more new clients, the other agency is packed, and the waiting list goes to 8 9 months. It's it's unbelievable. And with Sonia, we had that conversation almost every month, and we're working at that level to see and invite new providers in a different way to cover that gap. Because it's not that it's not a need; it is a need, but utilization is very poor due to access. Access is the key that need to address. Thank you for bringing that up. And again, in my observation on the whom you want to be contacted by the agency or by the county, do you will provide a phone number or an email that could be connected to you, each independent agency phone number or an email. We can provide that in the same way as a county, something more local, not the whole number that 819-2000, because that thing doesn't really answer anything. So that would be a good suggestion. What do you think? Provide a phone number, add it into the question if you want to be contacted by the agency, this number, by the county, this number, or email, or both.
Oscar, this is Joni. If you're asking them if they want to be contacted, why would we be providing a number? Then you're asking them to make the call.
Okay? Because those some want to say, yeah, I want to call directly because that happens.
Oh, that would be great. I guess the question just says, do you want to be contacted? And we reach out to them at the request of the county and the result of the survey asking, do you want to be contacted? Now, if you want to change the question to, would you like to contact someone about this and then provide phone numbers? I think that it definitely speaks volumes to have a direct line at the county versus a general number because they're never going to know who to get to. In terms of the agencies, it would be different for each agency. So I don't know if that could be pulled in based on the agency. They said they received the service. We do reach out within 24 hours of being notified that they'd like to be reached, but that's a completely different scenario there. If you're giving them a number to call in, that's great. But agree with you for the county, it would be great to have a specific number if you're going to put it on the client to call in or even give them that option. Just a comment. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you, because it's empowering. It's empowering the client. Okay, do you want to be contacted? Yes. Okay. We reviewed that one. We're gonna flag that question. Yes, but do you want to contact the agency or the county? Have that extra element just to have the power on that person's side instead. It's a suggestion. I mean, nobody wants to take it. I think that would be easier to ask to respond to direct line or Ryan White CQM at dallascounty.org or my office phone number.
Oh,
I can
Lord.
address.
Okay.
I can. Yeah, I barely use those phones. I mean, we need to use them.
And Norma,
Instead,
you had something before we go because we're
Yeah,
getting a little.
I'm just thinking, I'm seeing the client do fill out the survey on an iPad, potentially in the case manager's office. I can't see them saying, could I have a little post-it note so I can write this number down? It's a good idea. I mean, if I was filling out the survey and I really wanted the phone number, I would ask for that. I'm just not sure the client, as they're sitting there going, let me get through this survey quickly, will go, hang on one second, let me copy that number down. But that's
Okay.
just, I mean, whatever we decide, I'm for it.
Now,
Okay.
I just want to open that chest because
Yeah.
that happened in this past year, no less than 10 times. Someone called directed Sonia. How they get to Sonia, I have no idea. And about yes, so it is important. That means there is a lot of complaint outside, and we don't have that. The evaluation on the surveys, there is no spot for grievance. It's not
Just
way to
just
complain. It's no way to call access. So
Just
I,
FYI, and I bet this is in most of the clinics, we have signs up that say, if you have any complaints, this is who you need to call. Then pay attention to those signs. Or even, yeah, and sometimes they're just real straightforward. Can you give me Dallas County's phone number to call? And of course we say, sure. And then we give you a call saying, expect a phone call, probably a complaint.
yeah, but
Okay.
the suggestion is to facilitate that for the client to have access to be heard, which make a huge difference.
So we are agreeing that we are adapting because we need to move on. We have several more to work,
Right.
got much more data.
I'm closing it.
And that we will adapt. The tentative is that we will adapt and to modify some of the responses from the non-medical. All righty. From medical case management, we have, let's see, here are the 5 questions for medical case management. What makes my journey feel supported in my what makes me feel supported in my healthcare journey? What does support mean to me? How involved do I like to be in the decisions about my health? The options are I like to be fully involved and discuss all options. I prefer my provider to take the lead, but keep me informed. I trust my provider to make the best decision for me. I'm not sure or other. Please tell us your preference, which is an open text box. And then question number 4, what questions do I have about getting the care I need? Is it my appointments, procedures, and treatments across health conditions? Something else, please tell us what questions you have. And then my health conditions and how they interact with my body. And question number 5, what makes it hard for me to attend clinic visits? And this is a select all that apply. I have no problem attending clinic visits. Clinic hours don't fit my schedule. Transportation, getting to and from visits. My expectations and needs don't match my care team's plans. Work or family responsibilities or other. And we leave an option for them to tell us as well. So now, all righty, I want to go to that we did the questions and now the data. So, and I think these are out of order a little bit, but what makes me feel supported in my healthcare journey overall? Usually, doctor means that I can trust my doctor, someone who listens, or I feel supported when my family is involved, and that's overall. For our women, someone to listen, doctor and family. Um, for our gender expansive persons, if you notice here, from this, we only had 8 responses where they provided from our gender expansive persons. We only had 8 responses, and they weren't too duplicative. Usually, when there's a larger bubble, that means that particular statement was mentioned more than once, more than twice, 3, 4 times. The more it was mentioned, the bigger the bubble got. Here, we just had 8 responses, so this is more detailed in that way. Family, medication, appointments for our gender expansive, and for youth, just to get to the doctor, answered questions, and wanting to be heard. Okay. And what does support mean to me? Let's see, yes. And of we still had and I apologize, I didn't share, we had 1,184 responses for what makes me feel supported on my healthcare journey, and the same for what does support mean to me. Overall, helping was used quite a bit, asking and answering questions and listening. For women, helping, and doctor were the larger ones, and people. And then for our gender expansive, same thing applies here. And to even be more specific with our uh, let's see, with our gender expansive, some of them said access to my doctor, getting HIV meds and hormone therapy. And I'm just sharing with you a few of the specific statements that were stated, items that were stated, and my partner helping me when I need it. So that was the quotes there. And for our youth, let's see, we have doctor there for them as well. And that means talking to the doctor. The one with alone was helping me to not feel I'm alone in this process. So that's the data there. And here I just provided the overall, how involved do I like to be in the decisions about my health? Majority are stating I like to be fully involved and discuss all of my options. And then a few are going on down. You can see there 66, 33, and so forth. Let's see. And then what questions do I have about getting the care I need? And majority are saying about my appointments, the procedures, and the treatments across all of my all of my health conditions. Something else, and we offered them to please state and please tell us. And then my health conditions there. And then what makes it hard for me to attend the clinic visits? And we did allow them, so this was select all that apply. 212 stated that I have no problem attending clinic visits. Then it drops down to transportation, work or family responsibilities. Other 17, we did receive some responses there. And then some even stated in 17 for other, they said none. And then let's see, I got to move this over here if I can see here. And then my expectations and needs don't match. We only had 4 respondents state that. Okay. And let's see here. We're going to go back now. We need to go back up here to what our consumers were engaged in the focus groups with the data and they did not have any suggestions. They did like the questions, felt that they did provide, we really cared about their responses and by asking those questions. The ECC responses, the feedback from the ECC is that it same thing as I mentioned, overall survey distribution has been a challenge. And then adding the demographic data collection was an added boost that was mentioned, so they can go to their own dashboards and actually, sort through how many females, how many women responded to this question in this way. So that's been an added feature. So now I'm going to minimize and let you all decide. Let's talk about it. Any thoughts about the questions? Do I need to put the questions back up, or any suggestions?
We have a hand of Regina,
Okay.
Lauren.
Okay, Lauren.
Hey, this is probably going to be a discussion that needs to happen outside of this forum. But
Okay.
so RCD is new to medical case management this year. I am not connected to this survey specifically in Qualtrics. I can only see non-medical case management. and the previous year's oral health ones that we did. So
Okay.
can I get in contact with somebody about that?
That would be me.
All right,
That would
Regina.
be me. Yes.
We'll chat.
Yes.
But
Yes.
what do you mean that is new on medical case management? You have
We
had
Yeah, we
Maybe.
previously didn't have funding for that. That's a new funding category for us this year, this grant year.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why you weren't able to see it.
Yeah.
We'd have to add it to your dashboard for you to see
Yeah.
it, see your data. That is correct. All righty. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Dwight at ASD.
Mhm.
I would recommend for this entire survey that we move more towards Likert scales, especially in this area where we asked the question, "What do you think support means?" and the answer was helping. Uh, Using a Likert scale, I believe you'll get a better uh, answer as far as information. It'll be more probative. But to ask a question like that, in my opinion, and then see that everybody says, yes, support means helping, I don't see the value add for that
Mhm.
particular category.
Okay.
And that's where I think a Likert scale for the predominance of this type of survey would be a benefit. Now, that would mean you would have to spend some time in asking the question in a way that you can score it properly. But
Yeah.
that's an example that I thought I didn't get anything from.
Yeah. And you know something, I think that this is what usually happens because last year when we presented the questions and everybody said, yeah, let's roll with it, send them out there, um, I think we don't realize until we actually see the data, and so I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah, in my experience, anytime you ask an open text question, it's going to be you don't know what you're going to get. So I like to use the Likert scale to kind of guide them into where I can get some analysis performed or some specific measurements.
okay.
I'm just not a big fan of the open text approach.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, Dwight. And I think Norma, then Piper.
Hi, this is Norma. Would you mind putting the questions up
How can I
again?
help you, Piper?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And
Yes.
then I kind of have a comment on the first two,
Okay.
which
One moment.
similar to Dwight.
Okay. One moment. Let me get back here. All righty. There are the questions.
Yeah, I'm kind of caught in between, but on those first two, and maybe we can make a we could do one and make it tighter. Although I always love giving a client an opportunity for narrative responses, we kind of went all over the all over the globe. And then how does that help us implement any changes? It was interesting, but yeah, that's my only comment
Okay.
that I
Thank
have
you.
problems with those first two.
Okay. Thank you. All righty. Piper.
Sure. I mean, it taps in. I have changed my perspective on open-ended questions, although I still feel like they're slightly the devil when it comes to like actionable items. In this vein, since it's not the only question that our team asks, it's cool. Except for at this point, maybe we could take the feedback from 1 and 2 and then ask the client to either prioritize what's most important to be addressed to get my healthcare needs met, right? Is it communication? Is it the like whatever the top responses were? Maybe those could be moved into like a prioritization matrix to where the agencies would know kind of where to focus. Like our clients have said X, Y, and Z, but at this point, what are we going to do? And from the staff lens, they're like asking me, what are we going to do? What do you do with this? What do we learn? And so if we maybe can prioritize what those, like they gave us feedback, if we can prioritize or have them toggle it, have them move it into a prioritization, that gives us a little more of the quantitative view of what we've heard from them from the open-ended feedback. It's just like an idea to move it forward.
Okay.
It's been really helpful. I will say it's been really helpful for the number 5 for us to leverage what we need to push in our clinic. So, thank you for that.
Awesome.
And I would like to address the question from Brooke that, and supported by Piper, what we do with that information as a CQN team. We channel the information, exactly what we did with the client that you provide info that wants it to be contacted. We channel to the proper section of the grant division to address the situation. I think that the suggestion is we can be the channel. We want to address the action itself because there is a department in charge of that, which is program. So we will be channeling that and facilitating the process into that person. We will pressure them to contact, and once they're contacted, we check in our files is contacted. So what is the outcome of that? Program will have to report on that outcome. Program means Carla and David, basically, and Justin.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Oscar. Go ahead, Piper.
Yeah, I just wanted to tap in on what I meant. I can't speak for Brooke, but when she said that, it reminded me that I think on one issue, it like started out as a QM question, but then David from a PA, like the monitor, got involved, and then it just was like a little bit of like cross paths. And so just as we ask ourselves to streamline, I would just ask like everyone to get, again, always asking for the county to get all of your great admin teams from monitoring to CQM. And Oscar, I know you're like the key bridge, right? But just to kind of keep pushing for that collaboration between the two teams is where I was going with that. Brooke, I can't speak for.
No, I completely agree, Piper.
And that's the point that we are working on our end of the AA, and yeah, I'm putting my division entirely vulnerable. Yes, there is a miscommunication, and the time of response is the way we will pressure them to create and address the situation that the client is bringing to the table. So we are measuring that, the time of response. We think communicating within the department, the division, how prompt was fiscal address or program or IT, whoever is the request from the client. Because there is a gap. There is a beautiful gap in there.
So there is a suggestion to possibly adapt medical case management as well. Is that a thumbs up? Possibly yes, yep, yay, nay? Okay, all righty. Thank you. All righty. And I'm not sure if our team is ready to step up to the bat. Michael D. I think I talked enough today.
LOL. I am here, but I'm wondering if D wants to take this, since he's been the one compiling the data. Sir, what do you say?
Sure. So yeah, we're just going to jump into our outpatient ambulatory health services. So here we have a few of the activities. So notable, we have our medical history taking, physical examination, diagnostic testing, as well as their laboratory testing. We also have treatment adherence, education, counseling on health, prevention, and nutritional issues, referral to and provision of specialty care related to HIV diagnosis. And we can go to the next slide. So here we look at those definitions. So for retention and care, that is among the people 18 and older with at least one visit with a provider that has prescribing privileges in the measurement year. How many had a second visit with a provider with prescribing privileges or a lab draw that's more than 90 days apart from the initial visit? And that's our retention measure. For viral suppression, that HAB measure looks at among people 18 and older with at least one visit with a provider with prescribing privileges in measurement year, how many of them were undetectable at their most recent viral load reading. So we did want to note that individuals lacking a viral load in the measurement year are counted in the denominator, but not counted in the numerator.
And as far as the undetectable, we measure not under 20, it's under 200 copies per cc.
Yes. And then jumping to the next slide.
Another observation, and moving up, is the state. NICHES has a different definition of retention in care, and sometimes the state, the county come up with ideas of how following the dishes on that, but we're going to attach to the HAB measure for be comparable and standard.
So the next few charts are going to look busy. So I did want to just orient everybody to what they're looking at. Here on the right, we have a key representing the retention percentages among these agencies, as well as the denominator, which is the total population served by that agency per that quarter. Along the bottom, we have the different rounds. So this looks at data over the span of the submission June of 2023, and it ends to the June 2025 submission. So that's the range of 3 years. So I know it's a lot to look at there. So just jumping into what the bars and the lines mean. So looking at the bars, that shows how many people received a medical care service during that time period. And then when we want to look at the lines, that's showing the percentage of the people who stayed engaged in care over time. Just looking at this graph, we can see the number of people receiving medical care tends to go up and down over time. So even when more people are served, the percentage of people who stayed in care does not always increase. That's telling us that starting care is not the same as staying connected to care. I see Norma has a hand.
Are these out of E2 Dallas or from our?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, these are not from E2 Dallas. This is from the PM reporting form submitted quarterly.
Okay, good. Because we've had some problems that I think we've resolved with Thomas on E2 Dallas. God, I hope we have, but I just was checking. Thank you.
And thank you for bringing that up, Norma, because that's what we wanted to do. I wanted to accomplish is compare your data, because you manage that data, and see E2 if the data reporting from your end, it can be validated from the E2 result, because it's having so many up and downs in that kind of thing. So we'll appreciate if you help us on that.
Absolutely. And let me just add one thing. We started validating, we use Careware. We started validating our Careware because, again, you're only as good as your output is only as good as your input. And apparently our input has some minor problems that are fixable. So once I validate the results, we find we have a higher performance measure ratio. So I should be doing that at least quarterly. It's a little timely to do, but it is well worth the effort.
That's correct. The discrepant and helping us on that will help it to be more specific, correcting those gaps.
And Dee, if you're talking, we have lost audio on you. I know you had been having some issues with your computer. We still do not hear you. We saw you come on and off mute, but but we're not. Yeah.
Did I hear you? Or should I jump in a pinch hit, sir? I saw you light up for a second.
Yeah.
Try one more time. Come off mute and try one more time, babe.
Can you guys hear me now? Oh, there we go. There we go.
There we go.
Hey!
Yay.
And that's crazy because I wasn't
Right.
on mute. So
Indiana Jones grabbing the hat there.
sorry, technical issues. So yeah, just jumping to our next slide, which is our viral load suppression. So this slide looks at what happens when people stay connected to medical care. And then we can see on the side, it might be slightly different with the colors, but we have our agencies represented there. And this, again, looking at that same period of time from that June 15th submission of 2023 up into that June 15th submission of 2025. Bars here show, again, how many people receive care, while the lines show the percentage of people with viral suppression. Higher lines representing higher health outcomes. And we can see that the viral suppression relatively stays consistently high across most of the time periods here, even when fewer people are served.
And one of the things that's interesting to me is to look at the prism line, which the census decreases from left to right. You can see that light blue line. But then the light blue bar, which represents the percentage that are virally suppressed, increases remarkably over that time. And to Norma's point, this is probably the product of cleaning the data set. And I'd like to just invite Sangeeta to say, if she agrees, or, if there's any other artifacts that you'd like to note about this.
Yeah, hi everyone. So Sangeeta here with Prism. So yes, you are right in that there was a lot of thorough cleaning and validation of numbers just as a whole since 2024, essentially, that we've been doing kind of on an ongoing basis. I would also say that in general, yes, even though like the denominator or the total population may have decreased as a whole, we were still able to maintain a higher like quality of care through these two measures just as a whole. So I think I noticed that as well. So I agree with Michael here, and I don't have much other information to provide other than like I think it became a more like coordinated effort, if you will, and just like more of a system. Right.
It takes it's not easy. It's not easy to do that. And I can see a similar story playing out in the Parkland numbers. So the Parkland was kind of like, woo, a galloping Gertie a little bit in terms of the denominator and census values. But you can see absolutely those green lines tick up slowly, the bars tick up slowly over time. One other artifact, AHF. I can see that the AHF census is increasing. It's like moving on up. But the bar that's showing the percentage performance for viral suppression is eking on down. I mean, that's not unusual, right? Many of you have pointed this out over many years, and decades of experience have pointed out that oftentimes when you're enrolling new clients and you're doing a great job with outreach and getting some of those folks who are the last to enter care, they may be more sick. They may be more resistant to doing different things like taking medicine. And so we should wear this in honesty and not be holding, people holding numbers against people, which I feel the difference in the quality of this conversation and the engagement that you're all showing in comparison, like with the first ones in 2021, night and day. I'm so proud of you all and the work that you've done and the effort that you've put into this. This is something that has not been easy, and it's not been straightforward either, but you guys have done it, and you should be very proud of your work.
Yeah, and another variant that could be included in their T, and we are aware of that, those clients who are completely virally suppressed and self-sustainable, understand the system, they usually go once a year, and the rest is just communicating via phone with the provider or with whomever and show up like a gap. But it's not lack of the consistency on medical visit. It's just they are completely self-sufficient and they're virally suppressed. So that's a little variable that might be affected in this game too. I see Norma's hand up. Norma?
Absolutely, Oscar. A lot of our clients are older and have got it as far as being virally suppressed. And I'm thinking that Dr. Athad goes, we can see you once a year. And I think that's the beauty of having an older population that really gets taking your medication. So I think absolutely you hit it.
Right. Thank you. Go ahead, Dee.
I think we are on the next slide with Regina.
Okay, so with this one, we needed to pull this. There wasn't an opportunity for us to discuss this measure during the focus group. Because this time in this year, the coming year, we really want to focus more working with the planning council and the task force to share and encourage discussion with our outpatient ambulatory health services. So that's feedback there. And then also with our ECC, we had the same thing as Norma was mentioned, validating care where, all those types of things going back and forth, those nuances within feedback. So that's where we are with that one. Thank you, Dee. So outpatient ambulatory services action. Are we looking to keep it as it is? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, or or are there any other suggestions that jump out and see that's screaming at folks right now? Norma, hand.
Yeah,
And
I'm good with what we're doing right now.
okay, thank you. And Piper.
Are we keeping the same 3 priority groups?
Ooh, that would be, if I'm not mistaken, and Dr. O and Michael, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way we selected the key populations and the priority groups previous years is that we compile various data from planning council, from different entities, from the agencies, if there have been some changes at the agency level, and then we present it to the ECC, and if that's going to be changed then, and then we offer a suggestion. So I think we would be sticking to the same ones through this year. Is that correct, Dr. Salinas or Michael? Keeping the
I
same
I
priority
think
group?
that's the most close to the follow up and half measure. So and Piper just put in the note that let's keep it in that way. Is
Okay.
the super simple decision. Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone has any grave objections to the key populations and how we describe them, please let us know. Piper, I'm sorry to talk over you. Go right ahead.
No, I mean, I just, yeah, my question was about the key populations, not about the measures. I want to keep the viral load suppression and retention. I just was curious. They're just slightly different from ours, but that, I mean, like, there's still groups that we focus on, so it's all good. Just keeping it in mind for my data team.
Yeah. We had the challenge of trying to make it as applicable as possible to folks, which means that we had to water things down, have not super complicated populations. Now that we have a better confidence in E2, perhaps over the course of the next year, which is something that maybe Dr. O can weigh in on, we'll have the opportunity to do a little bit of kind of digging around and talking about option A, option B, and maybe vote to keep or change them in a panel sense.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I think I have some gaps on that, but yeah, with the priority population, I think that's great to have the same to be able to compare in a longitudinal way, and having the viral load suppression and retention in care is the way to compare with other markers as well. So that's what I wanted to say in the statement with agreement what you were saying. Yeah, along the viral load and the priority population.
All right, baby. And Norma again, that's still
Yeah.
up from previous? Okay.
No. What are the populations again?
It's our gender expansive persons. It is women and youth ages 18 to 24.
Okay.
Thank you. All
We have
right,
Angie's hand up.
Angie.
Hello, Angie.
Hey, yeah, I was just asking, so the transgender population falls under the gender expansive, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So for agencies who are not able to or don't feel comfortable tracking that, they won't, but those who are able to will. Is that what we're saying?
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct. Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome. All righty. Okay. All righty. Moving forward, Dee and Michael or Michael. Uh-oh, Dee, did we lose you again? Okay.
Yeah, it's jumping into AIDS pharmaceutical assistance. Okay, so looking at our APA service standards here, some of the main ones to mention: adherence to our dishes Part B monitoring standards, adhere to the LPAP advisory board guidance, the drug formulary approved by the LPAP advisory board, as well as the 340B drug distribution system. And then the implementation per requirements of the 340B drug pricing program and prime vendor program. Okay, so again, another chart with a lot going on. Colors might be a little different for a couple agencies, but overall, still looking at the same thing, except this specific data set now goes from June 15th submission of 2022 all the way up into our last submission of December 15th of 2025. Yeah, I just want to leave this there for a second and let agencies look over their data, and see if they had any questions regarding this, as might be the first time you've seen this data compiled over such a long period of time. All right, so moving on to our next slide. And action and discussion. So, let's talk about it. How are we feeling about this APA measure? Adopt, abandon. Anyone can feel free to chime in.
I saw Piper says same for now, sounds good. Anyone object?
With the same meaning, Baralot, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's about medication, so this sounds appropriate.
Yeah. What is the impact?
No, interesting enough. If you see retention in care for LPAP, it's less. Curious, interesting point. Yep. Because
It's usually
of that call.
salvage. Yeah, usually it's salvage on our end. So it also lines up. So, but yes, retention is impacted for sure. It's a vulnerable group that's using the service.
Okay. Any feedback from our consumers? Didn't know if we didn't ask any chime in for OAHS or for APA before we move on to oral health. We're knocking them down, you guys. We're getting close to the end. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. Righty. All righty. And so Dee, were you going to share with us the the data that we pulled from oral health and the definitions there?
If you wanted to go over the definitions real quick, I can
Sure.
definitely jump in on data.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So activities include, of course, diagnoses and treatment of existing dental disorders and services aimed at preventing similar disorders in the future. Routine services such as initial examination, emergency appointments, deep cleanings, with anesthesia, simple extractions, multiple surface restorations there. And then specialty services include surgical extractions, extensive restorations, periodontal surgeries, restorations requiring sedation, root canals, and then also, and the others that are listed there that have to do with partials and dentures. Oral health services. Visits may be delivered via telehealth as well, so that's appropriate as well. The Texas Dental Board, following those federal guidelines as a Texas Dental Board, dishes policies and guidelines established by the AA. So let's see, and then telephone visit and consultations. And now we have the data.
Okay, so jumping in, this slide looks at oral health services such as, dental care and how they connect to the overall health outcomes. So I believe there's 3 funded agencies as of now, with being Cali Clinic, Prism Health North Texas, and RCD. So I think that Cali did jump in as of last year, being 2025, which is why you can see that their line starts in that submission period around round 5. The denominator is the total amount of clients served receiving a service for oral. So yeah, the bars show how many people received those services, and these numbers are smaller than medical or medication services, as expected. And then the lines show how many people received the oral health services in general. And then what we see here is that even though fewer people receive oral health services, health outcomes remain fairly stable across all of these agencies. Not a lot of fluctuation going up and down. And we can see, all of the percentages are relatively high, especially in the last 3 quarter submissions for 2025.
In the telehealth visit for dental, Piper, for your question is follow-up, basically. There will be no root canal via telehealth, of course, but it's just the follow-up that they provide. Sometimes you just need to see the client for the previous visit, and they're very simple. And the medical examination is limited. Of course, it's go basically the heart rate, pulse.
And then jumping on to the next slide. How are we feeling about our representation for this service category?
Yeah, since those 3 agencies that are still, if they're still remaining on the call with us, if there's any input or thoughts.
This is Norma at Cali Clinic. I'm good with it. But
Okay.
again, our numbers, I want to say we're somewhere between 20 and 30. It's not a great impact, but they're for the most part, virally suppressed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you, Norma. So
Important to know is that dental care initiate with the qualitative piece. We have some 2 questions on qualitative, but then after 2 years, you switch to barrel load. Just FYI.
Mhm. Yeah. All righty.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All righty. So we are moving on to the last one. Yay. Applause for the last one.
Applause. We got this on
Applause.
track
Woo,
and
woo.
everything. We've had engagement, we've got feedback, and we've kept ourselves on time. Come on.
Yes, yes, for the on time part too. All right. So for out and now, so for our outreach services, we have Parkland is our main agency for outreach services. Activities may include identifying HIV positive individuals who know their status and are not receiving care, directing individuals into early intervention services or primary care. Um, let's see, completing follow-up by tracking linkages to primary care, um, to primary medical care and services. And then we also have it also can include condom distribution. That's one of the activities there. So that's, and of course, you can pull this information from your service standards. I'm not going to bore you with that. Now, our 3 questions for outreach this year were: do clinic hours work for my schedule? Yes or no? And if no, how can they better match my scheduling needs? Number 2, what makes it hard for me to attend clinic visits? Select all that apply, and the responses are, you will get a chance to see those. I think we have those there. And then what can clinics and service providers do to make sure that they serve me well? Please provide your feedback in whatever method you prefer. And here, this question, everyone, we were testing our Qualtrics, expanding our Qualtrics capture rate and capture availability. We also provide, not only did they have open text for this response, but they also had an opportunity to leave an audio and or a video response. So, which unfortunately we did not get any audio or video responses, but just to let you know, that is something that we can do. That's a feature that Qualtrics has the ability, well, our license with Qualtrics over the AA, we have that ability to do that. Do the clinic hours work for my schedule? Yes or no? And if that you can see there, we have pretty much a large number of yeses and then our nos. And if there was a no response, we didn't get too many of that actually left something in the open text is after they say no. We didn't get too many response. So one consideration was to making that a forced response. Let's see. And what makes it hard for me to attend clinic visits? And select all to apply. Here a majority of numbers were responses were, I have no problem attending my clinic visits. Then it dropped to transportation getting to the visits, work or family responsibilities, and the other. Please tell us your challenges. And then clinic hours don't fit my schedule, and my expectations and needs don't match my care team's plans there. And for the what can clinics and service providers do when they answered no, it ranged from uh, what can they do? Clinics, I'm sorry, what can clinics and service providers do to make sure they serve me well? We had everything from the positive thing, nothing, maybe appointment scheduling, make that a little easier. The provider stated that she didn't need to see me since nothing changed and everything is good, to here's a few of our negative responses, or I would say some of the challenges that that were shared. A patient doesn't have a problem with staff, just doesn't like coming to the clinic. We had everything is great. My provider only works certain days, which sometimes is an inconvenience. And then we have, of course, everything is good. Now, we did collect maybe over like 200 for the time frame that these were collected. We had 200 responses, so I was unable to put those, didn't want to have all of that language up on the screen. But if you're interested in having them, please let us know. Let's see. And then as far as our available feedback, the same here with the consumers were engaged with the data, no additional suggestions needed there. And then if the only comment that was made out of our external CQM committee was that it was a challenge. It's a challenge trying to introduce the survey when you're trying to re-enter or establish the client into care. Because usually at that time, what we understood, that language being that they're really trying to focus on getting that person re-engaged in care. So now for outreach, what do say the team? Do we keep these questions? Do we
Well, I
adapt
mean, it's
them?
Parkland, so we get to decide, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It's
you get
us.
to,
It's a party of one. So yeah, I think we'd want to keep. I mean, won't speak for Jonathan's team, but my guess is keep the survey. Maybe we can merge the questions and maybe move away from like again, like with the other. Like we had several seasons of getting open-ended responses, and maybe if we could just have it offline or an additional meeting with the team to suggest either combining or using the, if it doesn't work, not asking them again about what worked, but just like then digging into the question, the feedback that they've provided and toggling into that to where that can be prioritized. Because we're very pleased with getting the quantitative and, kind of qualitative, that work is a barrier, right? Like, work is a competing priority, timing of the visits, they want more expanded hours, and we're trying to quantify that qualitative need. So if you wouldn't mind, we would love to work with the team of just tweaking those questions to keep them short and sweet, but to allow us to further dig into what we can do about it.
Sounds great.
And as you can see, you saw transportation is an issue. And transportation is one of the service categories that we are dropping off for
right,
lack
but that's
of
for medical
utilization.
visits. Yeah, I mean, they say it's a problem for they say it's a problem, and it is. It's so far beyond their medical visits is the problem. When transportation hits a patient, it hits a patient across so many different aspects of their care. So yes, we don't ignore that by any means, but we're trying to figure out where we can dial in is flexibility in our clinic model and scheduling and any kind of expanse or consideration for work needs. I mean, just if we're talking about Parkland's direct care, because these are all clients that our team has reached out that have missed an appointment or have fallen behind in care. And Jonathan can jump in if he'd like. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you stated it pretty clearly, Pepper. We like the barriers over time capturing the question. I think it could be combined into two questions, like you mentioned. I don't know if we need the audio and visual, as clearly it wasn't taken, so far in the 200 plus surveys that we've done, but that's up to the group decision. But definitely want to keep tracking. Is the clinic meeting their needs, and what are the barriers? And again, to reiterate, for this service category, my team is administering this during their outreach attempts. So they're administering the survey for the patient and asking them directly the questions, but weaving that into the conversation so that it's administered and then given back through the Qualtrics platform.
Perfect. So, and I mentioned that because I collaborate with the monitors on the follow-up on medical care on those clinical. Usually there is no, when the patient didn't show up, there is no note stating that transportation was an issue, even though the rest of the information that we have around is transportation is still an issue. So I would just want to encourage you utilize those services because they can lose funding. But thank for that effort. You have done a very intense and basically modeling the outreach services. That's great. We appreciate that.
All right, Oscar, if you want to wrap us up, if you want to close us out there.
Absolutely. We want to give you 10 minutes of these 2 hours. Don't want to hold yourself hostage with this conversation. And if there is something that come up later and we want to be addressed or suggest or address it via email, and we can share it again to be a decision of the group. But nothing small can be changed without your opinion. And thank Ms. Helen for being part of this group. And all consumer, this is client center service, and we appreciate your work and your service to the community.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Michael, any closing remarks? Anybody from our team that had any closing remarks?
Be
None
safe
from
in the
me. Thank you,
snow
guys.
and go ahead, D, please. I think
You're fine, Michael.
All right, be safe in the snow, stay warm. And I think I made my statements before that. I'm just, I can see how far you guys have come in word, deed, technically, emotionally. It's just wonderful to see. And it's grateful to have this partnership with you all. Thank you for helping me end my week on a high note.
Thank you.
And thank you. Yeah, thank you for your continued support, Michael. We really do value you. Yay. Yay.
And you got
as
a new
the
puppy, is that right?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. My my little Maya, my little worm. She peed on
That's
everything.
exciting. So cute. Welcome to parenthood. That's exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Arkan
Right.
territory, yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
across
So
species.
of course, of course. So as you guys saw I hope y'all are able to capture the QR code there on the screen. If not, it'll be in the packet when we send out the notes and the updated slides. And I think that's it for us now. If you still need the QR code, just let us know. We'll drop it in the chat for you.
And I want to thank the CQM team. This is a lot of effort behind the curtains that need that validation. Thank you, Regina, D, Tavian, Angie. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Joni. Thank you.
Stay safe and warm, y'all.
Yay. Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Miss Helen. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for inviting me, to be at the
Yeah.
tables. Thank you. Mhm.
Yes, and we'll send you, it'll probably be Monday, since we
No
can get
problem.
access to the gift cards,
No problem.
depending on this weather, and get you
Yes.
email you over a incentive agreement form, and then sending it back with the numbers, gift card numbers on there.
No
Okay?
problem. Thank
All
you so
righty.
much. Yeah.
You take
Be safe.
care.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.